Okay, it's Tuesday, February 21st, 2023. It's now 4:31 p.m. It looks like we have a quorum. If I can have Jenna call roll.
Magistrate Humphrey.
Present.
Magistrate Coldiron.
Present.
Magistrate Riley.
Present.
Judge Chuck Dills.
Present. We'll go on down and need approval of regular meeting minutes of February 7th, 2023.
Having read the minutes of February 7, 2023, I make a motion that we approve as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion made by Magistrate Coldiron and a second by Magistrate Humphrey. All in favor by show of hands. Appears all in favor, motion carries. Moving down to fiscal matters, 4A, approval of the claims on the general fund, the road fund, jail fund, along with all transfers presented dated February 21st, 2023.
I make a motion to approve the claims dated February 21st against the general fund, road fund, jail fund, along with the request for transfers as presented.
I second.
I have a motion made by Magistrate Riley, a second by Magistrate Coldiron. All in favor by show of hands. Appears all in favor, motion carries. Moving down to 4B, we have approval of payment for House Bill 810 training incentive for Tabitha Clemens, Shauna Coldiron, myself, Chuck Dills, Roger Humphrey, Jacqueline Riley, and Michael Webster.
In accordance with HB 810 training incentive, I make a motion that we approve as presented.
I'll second.
I will go ahead,
I have a
Roger.
motion made by Magistrate Coldiron, a second by Magistrate Humphrey. All in favor by show of hands. Appears all in favor, motion carries. Moving down to C, motion to approve the credit card use policy. As we were talking a few minutes ago, the only changes, there were some typographical errors that will be changed after the meeting, but the policy as a whole is correct. And this was a recommendation. The auditor recommended we updated a credit card use policy.
I'll make a motion to change credit card policy as presented.
I second.
I have a motion made by Magistrate Humphrey, a second by Magistrate Coldiron. All in favor by show of hands. All in favor, motion carries. And just so you know, there wasn't an issue with the audit on it. It's just a recommendation that we needed to add that to our policy manual. Moving down to item D, we have a vacancy that's come up on the library board with their chair, and they've requested us to make a motion to appoint Melissa A. Wallace, the Grant County Public Library Board, beginning on February 21st, 2023, and she will expire on February 20th, 2026.
I make a motion to appoint Melissa A. Wallace to the Grant County Public Library Board beginning on February 21st, 2023 and expiring on February the 20th, 2026.
I'll second.
I have a motion made by Magistrate Coldiron, second by Magistrate Humphrey. All in favor by show of hands. Appears all in favor, motion carries. Moving down to F, this is on a, E. This is on a new appointment on a replacement. Leo Saylor has stepped down off the Grant County Sewer District Board to be appointed to the Crittenden Council. So they have a vacancy and they requested the appointment of Mike Dooley. So I need a motion to appoint Mike Dooley to the Grant County Sanitation Sewer District beginning today, February 21st, 2023, expiring February 20th, 2026.
I make a motion to approve the appointment of Mike Dooley to serve on the Grant County Sewer District as presented.
Roger, you making a second?
Yeah, I'll make a second.
Okay, it was like you were having a
Yeah, I was having some trouble
issue.
here. I did.
Okay, I have a motion made by Magistrate Riley, a second by Magistrate Humphrey. All in favor by show of hands? Appears all in favor, motion carries. Moving down to item F, this is a reappointment to Jamie Baker, Northern Kentucky Area Development District. And it's, if you'll notice, it's retroactive October 1st, 2022, expires September 30th, 2025. I was notified by Tara Gnomes, the new director. When Lisa Cooper was the current director, she retired about during that time, and it dropped through their cracks on the reappointment for that position. So I'm asking for a reappointment with that retroactive date.
I'd like to make a motion that we table this item to our next in-person meeting if possible.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry, do what?
I'll second the motion to table until next meeting.
Okay. We've got a motion by Magistrate Humphrey, a second by Magistrate Riley to table this, and we'll bring this back up at our next court meeting. Okay, we have a motion to approve janitorial bids for the Grant County Judicial Center. Shauna has typed up the minutes from our meeting. Our meeting present was myself, Magistrate Shauna Codarn, Stephen Bates, Deputy Judge Colton Simpson, and Circuit County Clerk Regine Jump, along with our maintenance technician, Anthony Perkins. Was on the bid committee when we opened up the bids. We bid out, and we'll get to the next one, but we bid out the Judicial Center separate from the Grant County Courthouse. When we opened up the bids for the Judicial Center, it appears that Ronnie and Brenda Maines' bid came in at $4,800 a month, and Sunny Day Cleaning came in at $5,500 a month. I'm sorry, that's on the, wait a second, I
think the one was like
No.
6.
was given, no, I'm sorry, the bid sheet, I didn't have it in line with the agenda. The janitorial service for the Grant County Judicial Center was Ronnie and Brenda Maines at $6,800, and Sunny Day Cleaning Solutions LLC $4,500, and that's Susan Clark, who's actually been cleaning the Judicial Center already. And I'm asking for a motion to approve to the lowest bidder. And we know her work ethics. And like I said, I had Regine a part of that meeting since all her cleaning services is done in that facility. So she sees the day-to-day operations. She recommended that selection also. So I'd like to award that to Sunny Day Cleaning Solutions, LLC.
I'll make a motion to accept the bid from Sunny Day Cleaning Solutions, LLC as being the lowest bidder and recommendation from the committee as presented.
I will second.
Okay, I have a motion made by Magistrate Humphrey, a second by Magistrate Codarn. All in favor by show of hands? Appears all in favor, motion carries. Okay, moving down to the next item, H, motion to approve the janitorial bid for the Grant County Fiscal Court. Same members were a part of that bid, and it appears that Ronnie and Brenda Maines came in at $4,800, which is the lowest bid. Sunny Day Cleaning Solution, LLC, came in at $5,500.
I make a motion to approve Ronnie and Brenda Maines for the janitorial service for the Grant County Court facilities for $4,800 a month as presented.
I will second.
Okay, I have a motion made by Magistrate Codar, second by Magistrate Riley. All in favor by show of hands. Appears all in favor, motion carries. And
And
then
Judge-
on that, oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, when does that go into effect?
March 1st, it's met with Edie, who's been doing the cleaning service here for the county properties, and she advised me that she was wanting to retire at any time that we could get the replacement. So I
Okay.
met with her last week, and her last day will be the end of February.
Got it. And then I'm assuming it is not unreasonable to have each of like the department heads that has an office there also meet with the Mainses, for them to, Colton's office, your office, the downstairs offices, like, will there
Yeah,
be any?
well, part of that's been done
Okay,
prior to. We did a pre-bid meeting. We met with all met with all the elected officials and department heads. And I know Colton had talked to them, and I've talked to each one of them on what
Okay.
their needs are.
perfect. Okay,
That we even determine what the pre-bid meeting needed to be. So we had a
Okay.
pre-bid meeting. They went out and looked at locations before they even placed the bid.
perfect.
And then
Okay,
now that
thank
we've
you.
awarded the contract, I'll have them meet with each one of the elected officials, department heads, on what they need done, which is basically what we covered.
Thank
Okay,
you.
moving down to old business. Don't have any. Under new business, I just want to report, and we have, looks like David Rose is on. David Rose, along with Jim Thorne, who chairs the Ethics Commission Board, and Ann Green is the three members on the Ethics Board. They've reviewed, and I don't need any vote on this, but they've reviewed all the Ethics Commission financial disclosures that's required by our ordinances on February 10th, 2023, and all was approved. I wanted to make mention of that everything was good with that. Moving down to item B, it's the resolution 2023-03 with the Northern Kentucky Area Development District on housing data study. And all of you have a copy of the resolution. Anybody have any questions on it? Okay, moving down to item C. McBriar Law Firm, we have David with us and Jason, I believe.
Good evening, Judge. David Garneri from McBrayer is with you all.
Okay, is Jason with us also, or just you, David?
It's just me tonight, Judge.
Okay, that'll work. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Appreciate you making time on your agenda for me to update the court about the ongoing opioid litigation that Grant County's been a part of now for the last 4 years. The recent, at the end of last year, 2 additional manufacturers and the 3 primary pharmacies that have been defendants in the lawsuit reached tentative settlements, which are very similar to the settlements that were reached back in 2021 involving the 3 big distributors, AmeriSourceBergen, McKesson, Cardinal Health, and Janssen. So those 4 defendants who reached the roughly $26 billion settlement at the end of 2021, the settlement monies, which are payable over a number of years, and I think the first year payments have now been received by Grant County and the other communities in Kentucky. This will be very similar. The total settlement involving these 5 defendants is roughly $20 billion. So it's on par with the $26 billion settlement that the 4 other defendants had reached. The timeline for these settlements is very similar to the prior one that Grant County participated in, and we're midway through the timeline. To remind you all about the prior kind of graduated process, initially the 50 states through their attorney generals had to say whether they wanted to participate If enough of the states said that they were going to participate, then it put the burden back on the defendants to say that they were staying in the settlement. And then once the defendants do that, the burden shifts to the local governments within each state to decide whether they want to participate. And if there is then enough participation by the local governments and the states then decide to stay in, then the final step is the defendants look at everybody that's in and they say, okay, we're staying in. We're on step 3. The states have already said they're in, which has caused these 5 new defendants to say that they're remaining in. And now the local governments, both in Kentucky and throughout the country, are under a current deadline of April 8th to say whether they are going to participate in this round of settlements as well. I don't see any. I'm happy to answer any questions any of you all may have as to the pros and cons. I think we haven't identified any reasons Grant County would not participate in this round of settlements as it decided to in the initial round. But the deadline for that will be April 18th. And then a little bit later this spring, the states will have to recommit based upon their local participation within the state. And then the defendants will have to recommit based upon both the local participation and the states. There's no reason to believe that Humpty Dumpty won't stay together through this settlement like it stayed together through the first round involving the distributors and Janssen. The first payments from these settlements are scheduled to be made this summer. So the process was the wheel was kind of invented the first go around with the 3 distributors and Janssen, and it took us about 14 to 16 months to get from a settlement between the parties and payments actually coming out to the local governments and the states. That window's condensed to January to August, so it's condensed about 7 months. So the process is largely going to stay the same, which will, starting this year, will be an infusion of money to Grant County over the next 15 to 18 years. And we are working with you all and the other counties to develop some guideposts so that you all know what's appropriate uses for these monies, because they are specifically used for opioid abatement or remediation. And there's some criteria that are spelled out in the settlement agreements. There's criteria that are spelled out into the legislation that the Kentucky General Assembly has adopted. And there's some criteria being spelled out via regulations that I think when you put it all together should give you all flexibility in using the money for reasons that not only go to opioid remediation and abatement, but that are common sense. So our plan and hope is to continue to work with Stephen and with the judge's office and any of the other constituents involved in this to give you all the proper guidance to make sure that you're using the money appropriately and keeping records appropriately and reporting appropriately. And I expect our dialogue to continue at least through Stephen's office. But I'm happy to answer any questions that the court may have about the settlement that is currently kind of underway that will finish up later this spring in terms of everything being finalized.
Well, thanks, David. Stephen, do you have anything to add or?
No, I would just add that we had a conference call on Monday and talked about some of the potential uses reporting. It gave us some ideas about things to work on going forward, and we're going to remain in contact with the McBrayer firm, and certainly David and I will remain in contact with one another and try to work through the most common sense uses for those funds. And we've got some ideas we're working through right now that based on our conference call the other day about different ways to reporting that. Obviously, this is kind of this is new ground for everybody. Nobody's ever had to deal with these funds being made available under these particular circumstances. So we want to obviously abide by the law that's out there, but we also want to make sure that we are looking at all possible ways of mitigating some of the expenses that the county's endured for all these years for some of these opioid related issues. So that's all I have to add at this point.
Well, and just to add, that meeting, we had that conference call Monday, Jailer Mike Webster and Sheriff Brian Maines was present on that call with me and Steven. So we were trying to get some direction and guidelines on the expenditures of those funds.
And Judge, if I may, and adding to what Stephen said, if we do the work, and we're going to help you all do the work, if we do the work on the front end, not only understanding the proper uses that the funds can be put towards, but how to in a common sense and in a way that doesn't interfere with the daily operations of government, to document not only the rationale for why we're doing it, but along the way to kind of refresh that. I think doing the work on the front end will pay dividends over the next 20 years as these monies become available.
Hey, we appreciate all your work on this settlement.
Well,
So, yeah, I'm sorry, Dave, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just going to say, we've been proud to represent Grant County and hope we've been good partners for you all.
Yes,
So-
you all have.
So just as kind of a bow on this thing, I at this point for the court, we had previously done a resolution approving our participation in this opioid litigation. It was a broad resolution because at that time we really didn't know all of the defendants and who was going to be in, out, declaring bankruptcy, whatever the case may be. So in my discussions with Mr. Guarneri the other day, and I do believe this still holds true, I don't think there's any additional acts that need to be taken by the fiscal court at this point. This is merely just Mr. Guarneri taking time out of his day to update us on what's going on and then the next steps in this process. And our prior resolution should hold for all of these future acts on these new settlements that will be coming down hopefully in the next 6 weeks.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
Isn't there supposed to be some kind of a meeting next week in Pendleton County on this by one of the lawyers or?
I think it was like a general is hosting like town halls on it. Is that what you're
That's
referencing?
correct. Attorney General's has been going around like he's been at our conferences and has been touching base with some of the expenditures of the funds.
Well, I get an email about that meeting next week. It seems like about every 3 hours. So I just got another one this afternoon, and this is about a Operation Fight Fentanyl forum. So it's not really the same thing. Yeah. So, but certainly they're looking for participants. So if anybody wants to go next Tuesday afternoon.
Okay. Well, Dave, thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. And we'll continue to be in touch, Judge and Stephen and everybody else. Thank you all.
Okay, thanks.
Let's
Moving
step
on down to reports on judge's report. I just update on that we're continuing to finish up some painting and clean up here at the courthouse and getting that in order. And then also I'll be reaching out to each one of you. I spoke to Stephen today. We were notified by Department of Transportation on Delaney Road where the new bypass went in that we need to officially close the north end by I think one of them's 510 feet, one of them's 400 and some feet from 25 right across the railroad bridge. Those roads has been to eliminate them out of our road plan. So we'll be getting together, and I had to go in the paper and get some posting, and I'll be back before the court on appointing 2 people along with Steve Tatum to do the review that's required by statute. So that's upcoming. Magistrate report.
Judge,
Roger, I'm sorry.
on that resolution that we had, I don't think that we actually made a motion on the resolution. Don't we have to do that to approve the resolution? I know we mentioned it, but I don't. Or was,
I had it under the housing study.
yes. Do we have to approve that? Don't we have to approve that?
We can. I don't know that we do on that resolution, but let's go on and make a motion on it.
Was the housing study for the NKADD portion of Grant County as presented?
I will second.
Okay, a motion made by Magistrate Codar and a second by Magistrate Riley. All in favor by show of hands? Appears all in favor. Well, if we didn't need to do it, at least we got it covered, so. Okay, Magistrate report. Roger, anything to report on?
Nothing to report, Judge.
Okay. Jacqueline?
Daddy ass she goes.
Okay. Shauna, you're last.
No, I don't have any. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you. Moving down to citizens address. If anyone on that wants to say anything? I'm not showing any indication anyone wanting to speak tonight. I'll remind everyone, our next meeting will be Tuesday, March the 7th, 2023 at 4:30 p.m. and it will be held here at the Grant County Courthouse. I need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll
I will
second.
second. Go ahead, Raj.
I have a motion made by Magistrate Codar and second by Magistrate Humphrey. All in favor by show of hands? Appears all in favor. Motion carries. We're now adjourned. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.